Hi there, we're back. Part two. I managed to melt down my computer, and we are talking about Vino Verde wines with Pedro Costa, my special guest, who's logging in from northern Portugal. Um, Unlike my computer connection, which is molten by now, these wines are very, very fresh and crisp. So, welcome back, Pedro, for part two, and thanks for your patience.
My pleasure, again.
Okay, good. Now, let's try to pick up where we were. I will try to pick up on the Facebook comments for those who can find us. Again, if they are refreshing their browser, they will find us. Um, so, let us think now. You're in northern Portugal. Were we talking about your favorite food pairings when we left off, Pedro? Remind me where exactly.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I mentioned a couple of food pairings that I like very much.
okay.
Uh, so it was grilled fish.
Ah,
Yeah,
nice.
grilled fish. That's something we eat very often here in Portugal. That's
Okay,
great with Vinho Verde.
yeah.
And also, I talked about sushi. And then I just remembered that in Canada, you have great lobster. I have had some very good lobster in Canada, and
Yes.
that would be a very good pairing for some big bears.
Well, even before you said that, I had the picture of lobster up on the screen. You can't see everything I'm doing, Pedro, but I'm flipping back and forth with some mouth-watering food pictures as you're talking because this
Oh,
is our
really?
job. Yes. We're here to make people thirsty and hungry, and you're doing an excellent job, I must say. Um,
So that was
yeah.
thick thought transmission.
Yeah. So why do you think Vino Verde wines work so well with like lobster, scallops, seafood, those sorts of dishes?
Well, that's because when you have a sip of vinaigrette, it cleans your palate, it cleans your mouth because of the acidity, the nice, as I said, we're going to say this word very often, fresh, crispy. That's what vinaigrette is all about. So when you have a little bit of vinaigrette, it cleans your palate and it makes it ready for you to have uh, another bit of food.
Yes, it's a true hedonist wine because I think when the food and wine pairing works, the wine is a palate cleanser, but it also makes the next bite of food taste almost as like a fresh experience of what you had with the first bite. So
And it
um,
brings up the food. That's for sure.
it brings out the
Absolutely.
food. Yeah, I find like wines with good acidity, like this one, are like footlights in a theater. So the actors are on stage, but they need the footlights, the highlight of the
Ah,
acidity. And sometimes I compare acidity to salt in food. It's just the highlighting, the spotlight on the flavor. It's not the flavor itself, acidity, but it's the spotlight, the laser focus on it. And
yes.
yeah, and Pedro has joined us. Pedro, if you're just logging in fresh from Facebook, tell us if you've had Vino Verde wine. So Pedro, tell us about this one. This is the one we know. Let me just show you another one that I have here. And what would be the difference between these two? If you can see them on the camera right now, they both seem to be Vino Verde from your winery, but what would be the difference between these two? Can you see? Sorry, I'm making you squint. They have sort of different labels.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, that's an honest answer. Um, this one has a nice sunny picture. Um,
I would, I would, I would imagine that is a special edition,
oh, okay,
but the
so
wine is the same.
okay,
The
so it's
wine
a
is
label
exactly the
change.
same.
Okay, very honest. Okay.
Well, that's the marketeers. Sometimes they do stuff we don't know about.
They're doing their
But the
job.
wine, I'm pretty sure the wine is the same,
Okay.
only a special label edition.
Okay, good. Good, good, good. It's good to be really transparent and honest because that's what we are doing here. I'm not sure exactly the gradient, the step ups here, but I tasted this one next. And maybe it says on the back of it, tank sample from 2016, so it hasn't been bottled yet. Someone put it in the bottle for us. But what would be the difference, say, between this one and the other one that I was showing you?
Well, that is 100% Alvarinho.
Okay.
That's a wine that it's not available in Canada. I think it's not available in Canada, at least not in the main territories, not in the big volume territories, not in Ontario for sure.
Okay.
And it's smaller, much smaller production.
Okay.
And it's 100% Alvarinho. So what does that mean when you're talking about wine? Alvarinho is considered by many. I don't want to be talking in my own interest, but I am, of course. So, I think I still can say it. It's the best white grape from Portugal. And why is it the best, or why is it considered the best by many people? Because the berries are very small and the bunches are very small, which means that the yield per plant is very low. And when you make the wine, this translates into a lot of concentration, a lot of intensity, a lot of aroma. So the wines from Alvarinho stand out from the rest of the Vinho Verde because of that. They are much more powerful, much more intense, but they still maintain the same freshness, which is the characteristic of the whole region. That's something we can never, that we always have to have in mind, is that Vinho Verde is about freshness, but Alvarinho takes it a step forward because we get more body, more concentration, more texture. And also, if the wine is well made and well taken care of, these are wines that can actually age for a few years. You can. It's not very easy to find, but if you're lucky enough, and if you find an Alvarinho, a good Alvarinho with 10, 15, 20 years old, you're going to have a very good surprise because they hold very, very well because of the acidity, the balance between the acidity and alcohol.
Yeah, and acidity, of course, is a preservative, and that's why Rieslings are long-lived, and this one would be. Now, okay, so I had this one, and then I don't know if I did the right step up in the progression here, but I gotta say, this one was my favorite. This was amazing. It had everything. Okay. Can you see it? Sorry.
Yeah. I was just trying to see which one it was. It's the Alvarinho. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's your Reserve Famiglia, Reserva de Famiglia.
Yes, so that's our. Yeah, go ahead.
How do you? What makes it special? Is it special selection of grapes? I mean, is it throughout the process special barrels, special everything? Like this gets the Lux treatment. Is that kind of what makes it differentiated?
It's interesting. It's interesting to put those two wines side by side because they are both produced with the same variety, which is Alvarinho. So everything I said about the previous wine is valid for this wine too.
Okay.
The difference is this is our top wine from Vinho Verde. So the difference is that we go to our best vineyards, we select the best spots on the vineyard, and we harvest those grapes specifically for the Reserva da Famiglia project. And then we ferment, we press the grapes, and let me just give you some context. Vinho Verde is 99.9% fermented in stainless steel without any oak to preserve the freshness and all these youthful characteristics of Vinho Verde. In this case, we do things a little bit differently. We put half of the wine after we press, so we get the juice. Half of it goes into stainless steel tanks, very small tanks, and the other half goes into big 500-liter barrels, French oak barrels, and both the juices ferment in the different places, and then for a period of no less than 6 months, we do batonnage, both in stainless steel and in oak, and then.
And batonnage, if I might just say, for people who aren't familiar with that, baton meaning stirring with a baton or stick, the leaves,
Yeah.
which gives creamy richness. Yeast cells
Yeah,
come up and give flavor.
It does two things. That's one, by extracting some compounds, some monoproteins from the yeasts. So we break the yeasts and they start releasing these compounds that will give extra smoothness and body to the wine. But also, when you put the lees, when you mix the lees with the wine, you avoid it from oxidation. So the lees capture oxygen and they protect the wine from oxidation.
Keeping it
So-
fresh. Yeah.
So after this period of approximately 6 months,
Okay.
we taste all the barrels, we taste all the tanks, and we select the best tanks, the best barrels, and we mix them together, and that's how we make this wine. So here we have a mix of stainless steel, no oak, and oak. And it's approximately 60% stainless steel, 40% oak.
Okay.
Now, the challenge with this wine is Vinho is a very aromatic variety. And normally when you put aromatic varieties in oak, they don't react very well because they become oaky and they lose their fruit, their identity.
Okay.
In this case, we use bigger oak barrels and older barrels, so they don't kill the fruit. And that's it. That's what we do. And it's a very small production. It's about 4,000 or 5,000 bottles a year.
That's fantastic. So when you say large barrels, would they be, the term I've heard is foudre, like large, really large barrels? Are they foudre?
Not that big.
No.
I'm talking the double of a traditional barrel. So
Barrels,
it's 500
traditional
liters.
225 liters?
Yeah. In this case, it's 500 liters.
Right. Math is not my forte, so, but not quite foudre. But, I mean, to those who are listening and watching, that, you know, the less surface contact between the oak and the wine, and if the oak has been used several times, the barrels, the less character it's going to impart to the wine, obviously. So you want just a touch for the creaminess, the texture, but not so much it's gonna like clobber that freshness of the fruit.
Exactly.
All right.
That's it.
Good. All right, I'm going back to our Facebook comments. People have found us again, Pedro, on part 2.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. They're determined. It's great. So Jennifer is here, and yes, she's commenting on the food and wine pairing, that a zesty white wine certainly makes every bite of food taste different. If you are just logging in, please comment. Have you ever had Vinho Verde before? Yes or no? Just comment in the section below where we're talking. We have Pedro Costa logging in from northern Portugal, who is a chief winemaker with Aveleda Winery, one of the best known wineries there. And there are all the comments again. Okay, so Lori is saying, how many wines do you make, Pedro? And are they all Vinho Verde?
Well, that's an interesting question. As a company, we make I don't know, maybe some 15 different wines, 15 different brands, somewhere around there, and we are based in Vinho Verde. Historically, the company was founded in Vinho Verde. It's still a family business today. That it's now on its 5th generation, but after some time we started also producing wines in other regions. So in the beginning of the 1990s, we started producing wine in the Douro region.
Right.
And by the end of the 90s, we started producing wine in Bairrada. So we now produce wines in three different regions in Portugal. But Vinho Verde is certainly the most important. It accounts for approximately 90% of our production.
What you do. Great. Good segue. So tell us the difference between Vino Verde and, I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but you just said it, Berada?
Bairrada. Bairrada.
Oh, Berada.
It's the
I need lessons. Berada. If I didn't have
Bairrada.
Berada, I probably can say Berada. So tell us where these two regions are in relation to each other and what differentiates the style of wine, Vino Verde from Berada.
Well, Vinho Verde and Bairrada are both Atlantic climate regions. Bairrada is much smaller in terms geographically and in terms of production. It's much smaller than Vinho Verde, and it's located south of Vinho Verde, but not far away. So climate-wise, the difference is not very big. It's still warm temperatures. It still rains a lot, especially in winter and spring. So the difference is mostly in the varieties and in the soil. Now, Bairrada has a huge diversity of soils.
Okay.
We have granite soils, sandy, structured soils. We have how do you say clay, silt, all sorts of soils. And in that case of Reserva da Família, Bairrada, we use the same principle that we use for the Reserva da Família Alvarinho. Part of the wine is fermented in oak, and part of the wine is fermented in stainless steel. But in this case of the Bairrada, we use two different varieties. We use one variety that I'm sure nobody has ever heard about, which is Chardonnay.
Good one.
and the other one I'm sure everybody has heard about, which is Maria Gomes. That's the local white variety from one of the local white varieties from Bairrada. So the Chardonnay is fermented in oak, of course, to increase the mouth, the texture, and that goes very well in oak, of course, because it's not a very aromatic variety, so it works very well with oak. And then Maria Gomes, the local variety, is the opposite of Chardonnay. So it doesn't have a lot of body, but it's got a lot of flavor, a lot of aroma, lots of intensity. It's very delicate. So we ferment that in stainless steel. And then, after some time, we make the blend just the same way we work with the Alvarinho. It's the same principle. In this case, however, we started producing this wine in 2007. And by then, we used 70% Chardonnay, 30% Maria Gomes. Today, we are doing the opposite. We are using much more Maria Gomes than Chardonnay because we want the wine to have the identity of the region, and we want to cut off the oak. So the wine is more, how can you say, is more faithful to its origin, if you want.
Absolutely. I love that when you can sort of slide in there with the international calling card and then establish and then let the terroir show itself and go with the more local talent, if you will. We've got lots more people piling in here. Wow. Okay, so they found us, Pedro. These dedicated
Thank
people.
God.
Yeah, part two, they're back. So, okay, so Malcolm, I'm curious to know, a professor once told me Vino Verde has a special enclave of production. Do you produce a specific wine from this region? What are those wines like? I'm not sure I understand exactly what you're asking there, Malcolm. A special enclave of production. We're going to come back to that. Malcolm, if you can give us some more clarification of your question, that would be great. Lucy Mercier is here, and she's asking Vino Verde is vacation, summer, and happiness. Those are her words for Vinho Verde. So fresh, crispy, and refreshing. I've been to the wine region in Portugal, and everybody should visit. You know, Lucy, you're right. I have some pictures here as well that I haven't shown yet of just the region, the ocean. I mean, it's a gorgeous region. Pedro, if you can tell us more about sort of just even the tourism aspect of this gorgeous, gorgeous countryside, why people should visit it aside from the wines themselves.
Well, Portugal is a country. It's a small country. It's you can go from the top north to further to not the top south, but to the deepest south
Yeah.
in like 5 hours or something. But the diversity of landscape of culture is so important that you can never get bored in Portugal. You can keep seeing different things every 20 miles or every 20 kilometers. You see different things. Talking specifically about Vinho Verde, as I said, this is a region that is always green all the time. The landscape is very, very interesting to admire, but culturally speaking, this is where Portugal was born as a nation. So the cultural offer, if you want, the cultural possibilities for visiting the region are huge. For example, my hometown is Guimarães. That's where I come from, and that was the town where the first king of Portugal started the revolution. So it's very important. There's a castle. There's a medieval city center. It's very interesting, but it's the whole region is very interesting. Of course, I have to talk about the city of Porto, because Porto is today one of the main attractions, if not worldwide, at least in Europe, for touristing. There is a lot of cultural offer. The weather is nice. It's very pleasant. Very good restaurants. Very good hospitality. It's becoming a city that never sleeps because you have things to do at every time.
Yes, I've been to Oporto at the mouth of the ocean, just where the ports and wines come down to rest before they go out to the world. It is spectacular. The restaurants, but also going to see all of these port houses where they're aging and the sleeping wines in their big barrels, and it's pretty magical to visit that place. I mean, it's
definitely.
It's a spectacular vacation.
And of course, there's something I didn't mention, which is the weather. So the weather is very nice. So you can go to the beach, you can go for a swim in the ocean if you're curious, if you're courageous enough, because the water is cold pretty much everywhere.
Well, we've got more people piling on. Hello, Lise in Sudbury. Hello, Jane. She visited Oporto in 2015 and loved it. Pedro, I don't want to miss talking about all the wines that we have in front of us, or in front of me, that I've been able to taste tonight. So let me just zoom a little, and I have posted a link in this chat to where all the wines are that we've been talking about, so that you can find them tonight, folks, if you're looking for them in your local liquor store. But let's just, Pedro, if you could talk about, this is a red. Let's just go first for the remaining whites I have. Maybe you can tell us what the difference is between Aveledo and Casal Garcia. Is that sort of a sister winery of yours?
No, the winery is the same. It's just a different brand from that we have.
Yeah. And
Our oldest brand is certainly Verde. That's the name. That's the name of the company.
okay.
And before that, it's the name of the property. It's the name of the estate where the company is based.
Sure.
Casal Garcia is a brand that was founded later in 1939, and it actually has a very interesting story because at that, well, the property is crossed by the train line that it goes from Porto to the Douro Valley where we make port.
Okay.
And at that time, 1939, there was a French winemaker that was going to the Douro, and when he crossed the vineyards from Aguilera, he found them curious because the way that the vines were planted then was not very common for the region.
Okay.
It was kind of revolutionary for the time. So, so he got off the train, the next stop, and he asked how he would go to the property. And when he got there, he asked to speak with the owner. And after a quick chat, he was invited to have lunch. And by the end of lunch, he was hired to make an experience because, you know, he was a Frenchman, and you know how French people are. I will say no more. And he was arguing that he could make a much better wine than the wine we were producing at the time.
Of course.
Truth is, he was right. He made this special wine that was certainly different from the rest of the wines, and then there was born Casal Garcia. Casal Garcia is today our top-selling wine from the company.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a very important product for us.
Yeah, I noticed it's got the
yeah, number one.
El Verde wine in Portugal. That's awesome. And so I tasted through a rosé, which was lovely, very crisp and fresh. And then I had, you know, this says sweet on the label. I didn't find it extremely sweet, not cloying sweet. More like a Moscato d'Asti, very light and effervescent and very still refreshing, like fruit cobbler sweet.
Well, you showed a few wines from the Avleda brand first.
Yeah.
And now you have shown a few wines from the Casal Garcia range. The Avleda brand is a vertical brand. You start with the Vinho Verde, let's say the basic Vinho Verde, and then you go up the ladder up to Reserva da Familia, and you get different profiles which are adapted to different occasions, if you want. Okay. With Casal Garcia, it's different. It's an horizontal brand. You have white, red, rosé, sparkling, sweet. We have sangria also.
Okay, so horizontal, just to define it, because that's kind of interesting. Horizontal means you have one of each sort of type. Vertical means you have maybe a basic entry level and then a reserve and then a family special and then is that what that means?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Okay.
And of course you have different price ranges. For Casal Garcia, the prices are much more similar from wine to wine.
Okay. Oh, consistent, yes. All right.
You mentioned the rosé.
Yes.
Let me just say something. This is a little something that the commercial guys asked me to tell. It's important. This wine will be in a summer listing in Quebec.
Ah, Quebec, SAQ.
There. SAQ, yes, it will be there for the summer. That's exactly the image that will be there. But let me show you first the new image for the rosé.
Oh, a new label?
Yes, it's this one.
Ta-da!
And I would like, this is actually strong pink. In my camera, it looks like it's red. It's not red, it's pink.
Okay, that's fine. I can see it. Yeah.
And I would like to ask our, how do you say, our
viewers?
Viewers,
yeah.
Their opinion about this label. What do you think?
Before, after.
Yeah. After, exactly.
After. I always point the wrong way. It's reverse on the camera. After. Okay.
This is after.
Okay. Yeah, we have a little poll now. You can post your comments below whether you like the new label. All right. So we have that, and then you had the red from the Douro as well with this wine. So
Yes.
I tasted a really a complete line. Well, as far as I'm concerned, really good complete lineup from this winery. But I'm really interested to go back to Aveleda because I had two reds here, which were very interesting to me because they had good depth, complexity, length, layering.
The one from your right is a red. The one from your left is white.
Right. That's right.
Sorry.
So this one is, oh no, that's the Alvarino that we talked about. Sorry,
Yeah.
the lighting is not good. But still, here's the red I wanted to highlight. The Grand Folies. Folies?
Grand Follies.
Yes. Tell us about this wine.
Well, that's our top wine from Bairrada.
Okay.
Bairrada.
I'm just not even going to do that.
And when we bought the estate, that was in '98, if I'm not mistaken. I was not at the company yet, of course. When we bought the estate, there was some vines they were planting there,
Okay.
which are now around 40 years old.
Wow.
And so those old vines are the ones. Some of those old vines are the ones we use for this project. So we selected a spot in the vineyard, in one of the vineyards, and that's where we harvest the grapes for Grand Follies. Now, Grand Follies is from an Atlantic region, Bairrada. And Bairrada is a very defined region to make red wines because red grapes tend to ripe later.
Yeah.
And when I say Atlantic region, it means that in late September we're going to have rain almost for sure. So the quality of the red wine in Bairrada is mostly defined by how long can you wait for the grapes because of the rain. So when you can wait until the moment that you want to, that's when the exquisite wines and the exquisite vintage are. So we only issue this wine when it's absolutely exquisite, in our opinion, of course.
Of course, but that's that
So
heavy edge.
ever since we started producing, we only issued 1, 2, 3, 4 Grand Follies,
Okay.
4 vintages.
So you only declare certain vintages as they do with port, like only when it's a good year.
Yes,
Good. Wow.
absolutely.
Great. Awesome. So we've got people weighing in on the new label. They love it. Jennifer is saying the new label looks more New World. Malcolm is saying love the new label, highlights the rosé side of things. So you're getting some positive votes here, and some other comments are streaming by. So yay to the commercial people, you can tell them. Anyway, Pedro, have we? Is there something that we have not touched on that you would like to mention before we sort of wrap up tonight?
Well, yes. I don't know if you have been, if I don't know, what was it? Pierre gave you also Quinta da Veleda, the wine.
Yes. This one? Yes?
Yes, that's the one.
Terrific.
So, yeah, I wanted to highlight that wine because
Let's try this.
it's part of the Verde brand, of course, but it's one of the wines that is available in Ontario.
So it's a combination of two grapes?
It is. In this case, you have Loureiro and Alvarino.
Yeah.
So Loureiro is the most planted grape variety in the region,
Okay.
and it's not by chance Loureiro gives us wines that are very aromatic, very intense aromatically, with a very strong identity.
Yep.
Lots of flower notes, lots of fruits, really a lot of intensity. But sometimes Loureiro lacks the texture in the mouth. So what we did here was to blend it with the Alvarinho, 30% of Alvarinho, because as we mentioned before, Alvarinho gives you the texture, also gives you complexity, adds complexity to the aromatics, but mostly it gives some body to the wine.
It does.
So that's the explanation about the blend. Now this wine is special because this is our estate wine. This is the wine we make exclusively with our own grapes. Also, the Alvarinho, we could say that it's almost all made with our own grapes, but this one is the Quinta wine. It's the estate one. So
Quinta meaning winery or estate. Quinta.
Sorry?
Quinta, the translation is winery or estate?
Quinta is estate.
Yeah, okay. Just so we know.
Estate.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm finding it adds the second grape. I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, but Lourinho. It adds the melon, the roundness, the richness, and then
Alvarinho, yes.
Yeah, Alvarinho comes in with the angular, precise focus, zesty lime lift. They work nicely together.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, good. Okay.
This is also a wine that you could keep for a few years, and it would be a good surprise to find it in the back of the cellar after a few years.
It would be
because it will lose this youngness of the aromatics. It will become more honey, peach, that sort of flavors.
Yes, I can see it.
But it preserves the freshness and the precise acidity, and that's what makes it going. That's, for example, when the person who tastes for Robert Parker in Portugal, Mark Squires, he comes here sometimes, and after a while you run off wines to present because he knows all the wines, so we start making thin presentations or thin tastings, and we go taste vertical. We make vertical tastings of this brand or whatever, and he normally improves the ratings of the wines that are aged 5, 6, 7 years, and he's always amazed because he says, "Oh, I would never imagine that such a light wine would have what it takes to age so well." So that's something that it's not, again, you don't find it so often, but it's something worth exploring in the region, the aging potential of some of our wines. And that's it. about this wine. Well, this wine also, another important thing in the United States, in wine enthusiasts, it's been rated for 4 consecutive years among the 3 top wines on their top 100. So I think that's the first time a winery has managed to have the same wine for 4 consecutive years in a row on the top 3. That's very important.
It is very important, and it's consistently really energetic, vibrant, and you can't beat the value. I mean, the price points are wow. Pedro, I really want to thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for sticking by us as we go through our technology challenges. We are going to perfect this, but you've provided us a really good education tonight, not just on your own wines, which is fantastic because you are a leader in the region, but also for Vinho Verde, kind of a mini education, which is what we're always looking for here on the Sunday Sipper Club. So, folks, we're closing off this part of our discussion. We've had 2 videos tonight. But if you wish to still comment, you can post below. We will be live again next week with Chef Massimo Capra, who will be talking about Italian wines, complete different shift and change. Pedro, you can't see this, but all the love notes are coming in. Everybody's thanking you for being here and a great tasting tonight. So it's just coming in really quickly. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome from Pedro. Thank you, Pedro.
Yeah,
This has been a great
it's me
tasting.
who have to thank you all for coming to see our little chat. It was a huge pleasure to be with you tonight.
That's great.
And I hope we'll see each other soon. Come to Portugal. You're invited.
We're all coming. We're coming together.
Please.
And maybe next weekend. No. Be careful what you invite, Pedro. But no, terrific. So good luck with your harvest this year, and we look forward to chatting with you again really soon, Pedro. Take care.
Thank you very much again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.